Northwood, and that is absolutely untrue.
I tried to tell everyone that who called me today or emailed me, but that's absolutely true. Someone's got a lot of wrong information out there about what's been done and said and planned. I tried to tell everyone that there was no planning, it wasn't on Northwood.
I think what we need to do is to get, like we talked about 3 weeks ago, is let's get the committees,
I
talk to
think
the
that's what we
principals
need to do
and the
is
teachers.
set up a
We
committee
haven't done
tonight
anything.
and put a timeline, because I think there is a hurry, because these things need to be done. If we just sit here and take forever to spend it, we're not doing any good in a situation that's overcrowded. So I do think there's a hurry, but I think we should do it right and set up a committee and set up a timeline and get it rolling.
As far as setting up a committee, did you have some suggestions?
One of the things we could do would be to ask the principal of every school to get parents and staff members from each school. One of the things that was said earlier, the problem with doing something like this right now is it's difficult to get people because they're on different schedules. So we probably could ask people, but we probably can't get them to start meeting until the end of August. I mean, I just think that's a little bit more difficult. I wouldn't want to commit to that if you could beforehand. You don't want to limit your participation. But then it would be a very nice idea to have a representative, more than one, several parents and staff from every school, as we go through and look at the kinds of things that are needed in each school. Create a committee that represents then all the different schools.
Well, if there's any truth to it, these budget submissions that each school put out, and I went through them. I spent about 3 days last week going through all of these, and there's a wealth of things that they need that don't involve building a new building. And we're not restricted to building buildings. We're restricted to spending this money, if it ever becomes available in a reasonable way, and going about promising one school something and promising somebody else is not right. We can go and look at, we've talked about the gym at Bondley, we talked about the gym at Bennett. All of these schools have needs. And for us to sit here or for somebody out in the audience to believe that all this money is going to Northwood is just wrong.
And who would that be, Gerald?
Pardon me?
Who would the person in the audience who would believe that all this money was going to
There was
Northwood
a whole
be?
bunch of people. They all called and emailed today. There was
I had 31 emails this morning from 10 o'clock, when I got home at 10 o'clock until 1 when I left to come over here to Pittsburgh. I had 31 emails from people and about 4 phone calls. And somebody is spreading out.
I think the concern was that there are needs everywhere and how much of the money would be distributed throughout the county and how much at one school.
And we can't tell that now. I can't.
But I do think that we need to clarify, this money is not money that the commissioners even currently have. It's money that they have the authority to borrow if they decide that this is where they need to put it. It's not money that they have sitting somewhere that they're just going to decide to distribute. It's their borrowing capacity because of money that was cut from the amount on the high school. Is that correct?
Yeah. If I could briefly clarify, the original loan capacity assumed a $44 million high school in the Northeast. Based on some estimates of cost the state did and the reduction of the school capacity to 800 with expandable to 1,200, that cost was reduced to $38 million. In terms of the estimated cost, who knows what it'll wind up to be because it's sometime off in the future, but that's the estimated cost. The $6 million would be subtracted obviously from the 44 to get the 38. But time will tell whether or not we actually have that money. This is our debt capacity for the county is at its absolute ceiling with the $6 million. We just had a situation with the judicial building that 2 years ago was estimated at $7 million. Now it's estimated at $24 million. To give you an idea of how these things can change with time.
Am I correct when I say I think there's been maybe be a misconception that money would be available fairly quickly. And so I think that there might have been some misconception that some of these projects would start, which is why I think there was an issue around we need to hurry up and make decisions, because there was a misconception that money would be available. And we haven't even thought about the bid for the next high school, but if I'm correct in understanding that we really won't have money available, I'm not even sure we'll have it available this school year?
Well, it's partially right, partially wrong.
Okay.
Obviously, we can't all of a sudden create $40 million or $38 million, but if $6 million, depending upon what other projects we're working on and what their state is of completion or initiation, whether it's the community college at Siler City, the library here at Pittsboro, and other projects, including the timetable for the judicial building, it may be possible to come up with $6 million this year. I'm not saying but so it's partially correct. So I think it does make sense to develop the recommendations as quickly as you can, but as carefully as you can as well. It doesn't have to be done this month.
Maybe prioritize with an
Yeah,
estimated cost.
and that's when I'd emailed Gerald back. I said, gee, do it as fast as you can. September's okay. Anything sooner would be great, but the money may or may not be available, so those priorities may sit for a year, but they may not if we can move things around based on where we are with other projects. And it's a bit of a shell game. We only have so much tech capacity, and if that money is available this fiscal year and the schools need it, will we use it for that?